get a lot of DMs from listeners who are hard on themselves about having to relearn a lesson. It's like, why are you making this even harder by like beating yourselves up that you are still learning this lesson? Like, embrace that personal growth. That's if you don't fight it and don't get mad that you should be further along than you are, it's part of your journey. And if you know your Enneagram, you can actually really tap into your personal journey even better.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I dig into the thought-provoking convo I had with Erin Baute in our last episode. If you haven't yet listened to that interview, feel free to go back and listen to that one, and then come back and join us.
Feel that freeness.
Feel that freeness. Well, you know what? Based on today's, that should have been, it's a feel that freeness combo is really what it was, because it's actually very freeing when you think about what we're about to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to hint at it.
Some of our listeners are perfectly overachiever, and they've already listened to the interview. I already know. So today, June 29th, if you're listening on the day this drops, it is National Work From Home Day. So let's celebrate all of you who WFH. Those who have Pilates studios, work from home like we do, maybe work from home part of the time. And if you don't work from home, maybe you work from home today. We probably should have let you know to do that last week. I kind of love it. But I also one day a week go work at a coffee shop for a change of scenery. Anyways.
Which is quite nice, actually.
Yeah, so if you're WFHing, then tag the Be It Pod. Let us know what that looks like. All right, love. So here is the deal. OPC summer camp is coming. So you can get on the wait list at opc.me/event.
Yeah, actually, we may have just made the announcement, in fact.
Yeah. It's
then
if they go there, they'll just get to the event anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the deal. This is the first time we've ever done a summer camp. Okay, so we kind of been toying around with these one-off workshops and live events kind of things with OPC, virtual live events. Yeah. And this time we decided to do a 2-day event.
We're doing 2 days.
So this is the first 2-day event we've ever done virtually like this.
Every OPC teacher and one of our contributors is slaying one of their specialty topics. And then we're going to do a team workshop. If the teaser is something that bothers you or frustrates you, or you're just like flexing it out, we have a workshop as a team together. So, you're not going to want to miss out on these topics. You can buy workshops a la carte. You can buy all of them. There is going to be an awesome offer if you buy 2 of them. I'm not going to say it right now because I don't want to screw it up, but I'm pretty sure the team has it very clearly on the website once it goes. So opc.me/event is what you want to go to.
Yeah.
It'll either be a wait list if it's not up, or you'll actually see it. And with these things, if you can't make it live, well, we'll miss you, but you'll have access to the replay. So
yeah.
Even if you're like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm traveling, great, snag your spot, and then you'll just get the replay in your dashboard.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're super excited. And then also, we are...
So that's going to be in July.
Yeah.
Like the second weekend or something like that?
Yeah, after the holiday. And then if you're in the U.S., it's not a holiday everywhere.
Right.
So
fair.
There's that. And then also, after we're done with that, we're going to get ourselves up on a plane and go to Scotland, and then drop down to Leeds for
Get on up.
Yeah, for the mullet tour. I don't think they sing that song there.
You don't think they sing that song in England?
I don't know. I have not heard it in a pub, but you know what? Maybe there's a jukebox and you can play it.
Yeah.
I
feel like we'll find it.
We are going to be in Claire Sparrow's studio in Leeds. Chapel Allerton is this area and the studio, and it's going to be so fun. We have business workshops in the beginning, Pilates movement workshops in the afternoon. You can now buy a la carte tickets to these workshops, but
there's only a few of those though.
Yeah.
So if you were thinking about it at all, get on that.
Yeah.
Okay, but I just realized for this summer camp, go to opc.me/event.
Yeah.
For the UK tour, you're going to opc.me/UK.
UK.
All right.
And so there's if you, just a hint, if you actually do want to do like 2 days of workshops, it's actually cheaper to get the weekend pass, plus you get the workouts. So you want to do that. And there's actually only a couple of those tickets left.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
And then we're going to come back. We're going to do, I think I'm doing my final weekend for Elevate as what I think is happening, which is kind of great for round 2. And then we get in the van.
Yeah.
And we hit the West Coast. We grab all the dogs.
We're actually going on an IRL tour.
Yeah, and we just announced it at the time of recording this, and holy freaking moly, way to go, West Coast, on snapping up those tickets. It's kind of crazy. And we're going to some really exotic towns. We are. We're going to be in Redlands, Long Beach.
Yeah.
We're going to be in Bakersfield.
Just south of Fresno.
Yeah.
Hanford.
Yes.
We're going to be in Fairview, which is near Sacramento.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's working. That should be.
I thought that's Fairfield. No, Fairview.
I want to say it's Fairview.
Oh, okay.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, don't worry.
It's near Sacramento.
If you're listening to this now, it is on the site, so don't worry. We'll have it on our map. And then we're going to go all the way up through Oregon into Seattle.
Yeah.
So West Coast, we've been wanting to do this for years. We promised for years this is the time. If you want us to keep doing it,
yep.
Snag your spot.
Yeah, snag your spot.
Also,
and we'll have some upcoming tour announcements as well. We're adding more spots.
And also what's super cool, not to each class, but maybe some more cities.
More locations.
Yeah.
Is what I
So
meant
here's
say.
the thing about the West Coast. Your studios are small. So these classes are intimate. So you do want to be fast on taking up a ticket, but we're also able to do some workshops, which we've only been able to do in Atlanta. So I'm really, really excited because we get to really hang out for a while. It's not just hit it and quit it. Like we're spending time. We're spending some time with y'all. And then we come back, and in September we are in Poland. So you want to go to contrologypolizeconference.com for that information. It's actually going to be really special. We haven't been in Poland since 2019, and that's also an intimate setting, which I'm really excited about. And then finally, Cambodia, we started looking at our flights for this. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Also, like, we have some family coming on this one. Yeah, so
it's going to be amazing. LeslieLogan.co/retreat to get your tickets to join us in Cambodia. There's totally still time. I know it may seem like a little like, whoa, that's on the other side of the world. But like Lesley just said, we just started looking at our plane tickets now, so you didn't miss out on anything.
Plane ticket prices, you don't want to buy them too early, guys.
And we have done this trip so many times. We have all of the details prepped and ready just for you. So as soon as you place your deposit, actually, in fact, at this point, it'll be we'll have to figure out like getting the full payment from you because July here we're getting all that stuff lined up now. But there's still time to join us, and we'll make sure you have links to travel insurance if you want that. We'll pick you up from the airport.
You don't need
Everything's
to have
gonna
a
be good
travel
to
buddy,
go.
and you don't need to be an experienced traveler.
Nope.
We have all that taken care of.
Yep.
And the people who are going to be on this trip that have already signed up are absolutely going to be part of your family.
Yeah, it's
and
super
your life
cool.
forever.
We got a great group already coming, so don't miss it. It's gonna be awesome.
So clearly, we do not slow down for summer. I don't know what summer nights are for you, but they are opposite for us. I will hibernate in the winter.
Heck yeah, that's how we do. Because actually November, we used to have some plans. They got canceled. So we're still working out the specifics on all that stuff.
Well, there's new things. Don't worry about November, guys. We're coming out.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted.
There's no rest for the weary.
No.
I'll be really honest. We are just going to keep on keeping on. So
that's how we do.
Just, stick to this or listen, read the newsletters because that's where the stuff happens as quickly as possible. All right. We should talk about Erin Baute.
Okay, now let's talk about Erin Baute, an experienced behaviorist who has embarked on a remarkable journey shaped by the challenges and triumphs of being a mom and raising a neurodiverse daughter. She seamlessly integrates her extensive knowledge into both her personal and professional life, offering invaluable insights into behaviors, habit changing, and personal growth. So one thing that's, if y'all are in agency, then you got a chance to meet Erin recently when she came in to do a webinar. And I found it like really, really enlightening. She used to run 3 branches of a healthcare company and was on the VP track and like basically kicking ass and taking names and workaholic, and realized that she wasn't enjoying life and wasn't spending time with her kid or her partner. And so she decided to leave all that, and actually now she's offering her behaviorist services, and she's really focused on the Enneagram. And so I'm sure you've heard of the Enneagram. We've like earlier I joked that I'm type 3. I am a type 3. Leslie is a 7.
7.
So I'm a 3-4.
Oh, so I'm a 7 with an 8 wing. You're saying you're a 3 with a 4 wing, I think is what you're saying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I know. And also, okay, so Erin knows this because we actually saw her for a webinar before this episode came out. But the night before her webinar, we went out to dinner with Jake and Carrie, and Jake will be on the podcast soon. We have an interview coming up with him. He's got an amazing book out, but Carrie's been on the podcast, Carrie Ford. And so we're out to dinner, and she says, oh, well, Jake's a 7. And to somebody else, I said, oh, I'm a 7. And she's like, of course you fucking are. Like, and then Jake's like, oh, you're a 7? High five. She's a 1. And basically, like,
and I felt like, what are we talking about? I don't know what any of this means.
It honestly makes me feel like, I know it has nothing to do with like your sun sign and your moon sign, but it's like when you get around people who do know those things, and they're like, oh, well, he's a triple Pisces. Yeah. Or when they like throw out that they know not only the sun, but they know the moon and the rising, and they're just like...
Yeah, he's rising in his, while he's sleeping.
Yeah. No, anyways. But like, it felt like that.
I'm way in, y'all.
So it was a little bit like, okay, now it feels like the 70s. I'm like, what's your sign? But then when we were sitting down at dinner, Jake was like, okay, well, let me explain to you all the stuff. And like, Erin did a great job, so I'm not going to take any time here with Jake's, but it was so fun to hear another person dive in deep to this and how they use it in their life, and then his coaching world, how he uses it. And it just like, the more you dive into this, I feel like you know yourself even more. And I read Erin's newsletter, so hint, go read her newsletters, because she shares something going on in her life, and then she like shares how like it affected her and how her husband reacted, and then how her husband reacted, how that pissed her off. And then she took a step back and goes, well, he's at this and I'm in this, and that's why it bothered me, because him not taking action makes me feel unsafe. And as a 7, we're like a double gas pedal, so like action makes us feel good. Right. Hint, take messy action.
Yeah. Hence most of the things you hear on this pod.
Just trying to spread my 7 all around. No, in fact, not one number is better than any other number. So anyway.
So what I thought was really helpful was the concept of most tests for personalities focus on your behavior.
Mm-hmm. Like what you do.
What you do, or how you do it. Where the Enneagram focuses on why you do it.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because the why drives your behavior.
Well, and like, I think, well, of course it does, but also I think like it can be so annoying about like, you have family members in your life, you guys, or you have like coworkers, and it's like, why the fuck are they doing like that? That pisses me off. And then it's like, if you actually were to know them on this level, it is easier to go, okay, they do that because it makes them feel safe.
Right.
When they do that, it makes me feel unsafe. They're not doing that on purpose to make you unsafe. They're not doing it to spite me.
No. Right, exactly.
And also, like, how do we own our own reactions to things? And so, like,
it's just like what you were talking about with her newsletter.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So anyways, I'm going to talk about what I loved. Yeah. Okay, so she said, Enneagram is a practice of returning to our whole selves. So I kind of like this. I don't even know why. This just came to me. There was this, like, book that I read many, many years ago, Getting the Love You Want. And it was like, when you get into relationships, you, like, fill all of your holes. Like, you like, oh, look at how amazing I am. And then, but then your brain thinks it was like the other person did that. And then months later, when both of you stop filling all of your holes, you're like, you fucking changed. It's like, actually, no, you just were being yourself and you have holes. But Enneagram is about returning to our whole selves. And so
I like to think of it as, like, just to put it in some context here, because we basically, you know how people are like 1 + 1 = 2 when it comes to people, right? A half and a half is going to make that whole. Well,
oh my God!
Right?
Stop spreading that.
Yeah, fuck that. Right? I think 1 + 1. You have to be individual. 1 + 1 is going to equal 1 here. You have to have 2 whole people in order to have a functioning relationship.
Yes.
And if you come in with like half of yourself, expecting them to be the other half of you, you're setting yourself up for eventual failure.
Yeah. 1000%. So she talked about like you can use the Enneagram to actually like understand how you started to use these smaller sets of yourself to feel safe and as resources. Then you got older and you're just working with these smaller sets. But actually, when you know what number you are in the Enneagram, you can actually help yourself move into working with your whole self. And so, so going back to like some of these personality tests, like put you in a box. Enneagram can help you tell you what box you're in and how to get out of it. So like, I really, really like that. She also said that of all the behavior models, she loves the Enneagram because it helps her reconnect with her authentic self. And she was simply lost touch with who her authentic self was. And like, I think we can all admit that we've like temporarily lost touch with ourselves, and not even like at one time, like maybe every other moment. And so by using the Enneagram, she can regain sense of her true identity, and it helps her embrace her personal growth. And I think that's the hard part for a lot of people. I get a lot of DMs from listeners who are hard on themselves about having to relearn a lesson. It's like, why are you making this even harder by like beating yourselves up that you are still learning this lesson? Like, embrace that personal growth. That's if you don't fight it and don't get mad that you should be further along than you are, it's part of your journey. And if you know your Enneagram, you can actually really tap into your personal journey even better.
Yeah, also too, the Enneagram test, which I found really interesting, was a conversation.
I know.
And I really liked that because Erin said that there's only one actual behavior / personality test that was like empirically studied, meaning like they ran tests on it, like scientific tests. And she said the win rate on that test is only 46%.
I know.
Which is like, what? So like all these things that we do, like, okay, they might get it right, but chances are high that it's not exactly right, right? So
I know, because I took the test because I was like, oh, I need to know my number before she gets on. And it
Really?
was like, yeah, I totally took it. And it was like, okay, well, you could be a 3. You could also be a 7. You could be a 1. And I was like, what do you mean?
Right.
And
so
no.
The way that she runs it, because she's been doing this for decades, you know, she studying behavior, for decades. And then she really went deep into studying the Enneagram. The way she does the test is by having a conversation. And at the end of it, she effectively makes like an assessment of you and says, hey, based on the conversation that we had, here's what I'm thinking, where you land on the scales, you know.
And then you try it on.
Yeah, and then she actually literally told me, she's like, read more about this and don't share your results to Lesley because I want you to think through this before you're influenced by especially someone who knows you so well. And I kind of had a laugh about that, but
you guys, Erin, he like literally wouldn't tell me until we got around these friends were throwing numbers around, and then he said his number. I was like, oh, what?
It's true. Well, one thing I love that she said is that she said the work for her became recovering it as opposed to being it in a way because of who she is. She is an overachiever, and she feels safe when, again, taking action, right? So she was a high-powered corporate on the VP track, and she basically quit all that, and she, in her head, decided, well, in order for me to have a reason to quit, to tell all my colleagues, I'm just going to go get a PhD now. And she had recently had a child, and her child is neurodivergent and requires a lot of attention. And so she basically like stacked on this reason to go do this PhD, which allowed her to quit, but also put her in a really difficult position of trying to, do family and go to school. And she realized that she wasn't winning on this, and she decided she needed to change the reason. So, that's where the recovering is. She needed to recover the reason for why she was doing the PhD. Instead of, she obviously left her job. So she's no longer doing the PhD to have an excuse for her old colleagues. So why is she doing it now? So
I love that. It's like, how can, if you are struggling with something, it's like a reframing of it. It's like maybe why you started to do something it no longer serves you. And if you're not willing to let go of whatever that thing is, you need to reframe why it is that you're doing it. That allows you to show up to it in a different way, and be less resentful of the thing. You know?
Yeah. Actually, I think that she definitely talked about she had to reevaluate her commitment. She decided to change the flow, the process. In fact, she decided, I'm doing this for me, and if I'm doing it for me, then I don't need to do it on the same timeline as the school. So she took 6 months off to focus on family, and then she started doing it again. And she said, if I need to do that again, that's okay. Mm-hmm. And it sounds to me like she's enjoying the process a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And it's not stressing her out, which is really interesting because her natural inclination is the overachiever of like, I gotta be perfect, I gotta get it all done, I gotta get it all, like there's a timeline, and it's an arbitrary timeline, generally speaking. So
I know after, I didn't know I was a 7 until after I met with her. And I also didn't know that she was a 7 until we did the webinar. And I was like, oh, this whole interview is so, I understand all of it in so many ways. I understand it so well.
Yeah, so for her, what I found interesting is that, you talked about that sense of feeling safe, like what makes you feel safe. For her, working hard or continuously working is like, I must be doing something, and that makes her feel safe, right? And so that's where it, like, when she originally was working the job, like, what is she going to not work anymore? Right? So she added this PhD into the mix while also starting to do coaching, and that for sure will keep her working, so it's been an interesting understanding of herself going, oh, I did this. Okay, we need to slow down, so anyway, that really allowed her to kind of rediscover herself.
And I think, like, I want to bring up this one point that's in your notes to talk about, but I want to talk about it.
Do it.
So, when you start to dive in and like going, who am I? Why do I do it the way I do? Why am I performing, like, behaving like this? A lot of times people want to take the big change because it's like, I know it now. This is the thing I have to do, and I'll go do it in the most unsafest place. For example, she talked about that client she had who was like thinking she needed to change her job, and because she wasn't speaking up and no one was listening and and when she discovered, like, when they talked about, like, well, what do you mean no one listened? Why don't you speak up? And she's like, well, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to make a mistake. Her perfectionist tendencies was actually creating this critical inner voice that told her she wasn't good enough. And so Erin was like, well, let's not go do this at the job. That's actually going to put you in feeling even more unsafe, and it's actually going to, like, exacerbate your problem. Instead, you need to do it in a very safe place for habit change. And we talk about habits all the time. Like, we talk about, like, unraveling a habit, no longer a habit. You can't just, like, create a void. You can't just go big or go home. You have to do it something small. So she talked about her letting her 2 and 4-year-old put the dishes away. And even if they just, like, threw the dishes in the drawer, she just had to, like, shut the drawer.
Well, let me chime in here, because this is one of my biggest takeaways, I think, from her interview.
Oh, okay.
Is that she said her client, who is in the decision room, making of her job, like high level, C-level exec, wasn't chiming in, and when they identified why, which was fear of making a mistake, was debilitating for her, so she would never even propose anything that could get rejected, right? And so this mistake, the control, the perfectionism, all that stuff kind of rolls into one. What's the obvious, like, natural next step of that is, well, why don't you try making a little, proposition, and then seeing whatever. And Erin actually said, that's wrong. Don't do that. That's not what you want to do, because that's the behavior, right? And that, yes, like basically, you need to understand the changes need to start with the why, and then the behavior comes after that. Mm-hmm. And that is, to me, was like, oh shit, we just immediately try to change our behavior. Like, imagine quitting smoking. I guess I just won't do it, right? But it's not the why behind the why do you want to smoke, right? Like, that's just the actual act of smoking, yes. Right? And so in this case, changing, like, throwing in a small concept, which could still get her shut down, could still get her like back into fear just as quickly as a larger idea getting shot down. That's actually not going to benefit her. She needed to work on the root of that, and that's where that control, that perfectionism, and allowing her kids to make a mess, that was the root. That's the beginning of allowing her to actually make a proposition in the boardroom later. Crazy, right? Like to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I want to know from everyone who's listening, like I want to know what your number is, if you know it. I want to know like how you're trying to use this in your life. Like I think that this is like one of the most powerful pieces of information to help us understand how do we be it till we see it, because it's true, you cannot go be something that could like actually like the behavior could actually affect you in a way that would like take you back a notch and put you more in an unsafe feeling place.
Yeah. So if you're watching this on YouTube, leave us a comment below with your number. If you're on the gram, leave a comment on the post.
Yeah, Erin's gonna want to know too.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so finally, let's talk about those be it action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Erin Baute? So she said, relationship research, 69% of the problems that we face are unsolvable, which I was like, I really wanted her to go more in on that because I didn't quite I was like, really? Okay. She said we spend too much time looking for fixes and not enough time learning how to manage who we are and cycle through.
I actually think that goes back to Dr. Bender's stress thing, where we just are always trying to find the reason for the stress. Okay.
Hold that thought. She said this was like the culmination of it. She said, I don't need to be fixed. I'm a person. Mm-hmm. I am who I am. Right? So that was like, whoa, that's pretty powerful. Okay, sorry.
So if y'all remember Dr. Bender's second episode with us about like this undue stress that we put on ourselves, like oftentimes because we are like our reasoning, we're trying to find a reason for why we feel the way that we feel, and that oftentimes because we're trying to find a reason, we come up with a reason, and that reason is probably not even accurate, and then we've created another problem for ourselves. And so what I love about what Erin just said is like, if 69% of our problems are unsolvable, then that means that there is no reason. There's nothing to be reasoned with. Like it's managing the behavior. It's understanding, like
it's identifying what is happening and why.
Mm-hmm.
And that again, the Enneagram really helps with understanding the
Mm-hmm.
why. So what I think that makes total sense about what Dr. Bender mentioned. So Erin said, understanding those things, she recommends practicing these 4 steps. So step 1 and 2 is to notice and name the step. Mm-hmm. She said, noticing is paying attention to oneself or me. Self-awareness. This is like recognizing your Enneagram type. Ask yourself, who are you? Who you are, right? Pay attention to the behaviors that you have. And that's all the noticing, right? And then there's the naming of it. She said, this is making meaning out of what you do, right? And that's your behavior, right? So how does it tie into your identity? Because you can't change something that is tied to your identity if you cannot name it, right? So she's talking about being able to change your behavior, right? Mm-hmm. But the behavior isn't like, you have to notice who you are and why you're doing something before you can understand what you're doing with the behavior, and then that behavior then you can start to make those kinds of changes.
Yeah.
But there's 2 more steps.
Yes, and those are recover and repair. So y'all have to get into your bodies. You have to be with yourself. You actually have to meet your own needs. And I think that goes back to that, like, we try to, like, this person's my other half, and they're going to meet my needs. It's like, you have to meet your own needs. You have to, because also if you can't expect other people to read your mind. You got to be able to, like, even if you're unable to meet your own needs, but you have to know how to meet those needs so someone can help you with that. You can't just expect it to happen. So I really, really love that. When she came into the webinar and she was showing that Impala, like, shake off the stress of, like, being attacked by cheetah or something.
Yeah.
And it was just, like, so cool to, like, watch this animal, like, meet its own needs in that moment and to recover. And, like, I watch our dogs, like, when they want to stretch, they stretch. They don't go, oh God, I should stretch. you know, so like they meet their own needs. It's kind of amazing.
They just do it.
August is very demanding. He lets us know. And then she said, and then it's like the fourth one is repair. So, which can equal changing your behavior, but you just set a boundary. She also uses her voice. In fact, she gave the example of like, I have a conversation with my spouse or my kiddos, and I say, I want to do this differently, and that's what this looks like. And then that's how she can kind of cyclically move through things, because she can't solve. You can't just solve, like...
she is not a problem to be
she's
solved.
not a problem to be solved.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really cool, 4-step process that we can all try to do with ourselves and like take action towards these things. Because my goodness, like, what if you stop trying to solve yourself as a problem? What if you just saw yourself as like this amazing puzzle of which you could figure out and understand and use that to communicate and like shine bright? Like we all have these. That's what's so cool about the Enneagram is like each person has like these incredible strengths. Like, I mean, when we were talking with Jake, he was like, oh my gosh, you two need a 1 in your business. And I'm like, I think we have 1. We have to get our team tested. But, like you're able to like see that alone you're awesome, you have amazing skill sets, but like we all have these different skill sets we bring to a table that can really make things work better. So I loved Erin. I love this so much. I'm like nerding out on my 7 with an 8 wingness and seeing like where I can work on some things and explore more. And also, it really helped me understand like why you do things the way that you do, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Definitely an interesting introduction to the Enneagram. Obviously, we didn't cover any of the actual explanations about any of the different
can go to
things.
Erin's site because you got she's a 7, so she's double gas pedal. She's got it all there.
I was just going to say, we're going to have a link to Erin's site in the show notes. So if you were interested in figuring out that, connect with her. We're excited that we had a chance to do that with her. And so that could be really a great resource for you. She could be a great resource for you. And then you can get to know her as well.
Yeah. All right, loves. I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so grateful that you are here. We want to know what your number is. Not your phone number, but your Enneagram number.
Can I have your number?
I don't even know what that's from. But you can also send us a DM on the pod. If you have a question you want us to answer, please send it to us so we can share some support your way. And until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day.
Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is produced and edited by the epic team at Diseño.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals and Semena Velazquez for our transcriptions.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all the content to our website, and finally to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.